Trog was released in arcades and ported to the Nintendo Entertainment System in 1990. Developed by Midway, the Nintendo port was handled by Visual Concepts, a company who would go on to have a hand in games like Clay Fighter and Clay Fighter 2, Sonic Adventure 2, and many 2K sports titles. Trog would also eventually receive ports to DOS and Amiga computers. The gameplay at first feels a bit like a Pac-Man game. You play as these small dinosaur creatures called Dino-mites. You roam around a playfield from an overhead perspective collecting eggs. Once you collect all of the eggs of your color, you must exit the level by going to your home area that appears on the map. Obstructing your ability to collect the eggs are one-eyed cavemen named Trogs. The game features power-up type items, including a plant that speeds your character up, a blue mushroom that slows them down, an ice cube that freezes enemies in place, a tamale that lets you shoot fireballs, and a pineapple, which allows your character to grow into a T-Rex style dinosaur. When small, you have the ability to punch enemies, and each other if you're playing in multiplayer, when you encounter them. But when you're powered up by the pineapple, you can eat the Trogs that get in your way. Turnabout is fair play after all, because that's what the Trog will do to you if they catch you. Other obstacles such as tar pits and wheels and fire pits can also block your path, but in 2-player mode it's all about collecting your eggs and beating your opponent to your own marked exit. Unlike Pac-Man, you can also fall off the edges of the levels, and if you aren't paying close attention, it's an easy mistake to make. I'm player 2 in this footage, and you'll see me do it a lot. The graphics in this game are adorable, and after each level there's a congratulatory clear screen showing which player won the level. Player 1 is a blue dynamite known as Bloop, and Player 2 is a more orange or yellow and named Spike. The levels are designed with a cartoony caveman aesthetic, with bones and skulls and sometimes what appears to be lava on the outside, as well as some levels featuring gateways and temple-like structures. Although the animations are relatively simple, they still convey the action very clearly. All of this is all the more impressive when you consider the fact that the artwork created for the ported version of the game was created from scratch, because the arcade game looked like this. The game used characters captured from clay models in a trademark process they called playmation. This was definitely one of the first games to do so. The arcade version of Trog even allowed for 4-player gameplay, with an extra 2 dynamites named Rex and Gwen. The NES limits you to 2 players, and even though the art that appears in the game looks different, I think it's an excellent at-home reproduction of the original arcade experience. The music in this game is not memorable or iconic at all. I just finished playing this game less than 24 hours ago, and I couldn't even begin to hum the song that plays over and over in the background of every level. The sound effects are fine, but again, nothing stands out as memorable or even seems to highlight itself as that sound you would associate with Trog. It's all just background. Okay, so the game is cute and all, but does Trog have a story? There's a line in the manual that's lifted straight from the arcade game. Only the second line from the arcade game is left out because it doesn't make sense since the NES doesn't feature 4 players. Regardless, I'll show you what suffices as an introduction in the manual, adding in what appeared in the arcade version of the game here in the video. Long, long ago, in a land named Og, there lived a one-eyed caveman by the name of Trog. And in that land there lived 4 friends, Rex and Bloop, Spike and Gwen. The manual reads, long, long ago in a land named Og, there lived a one-eyed caveman by the name of Trog, and 2 characters very much alike, mischievous little dynamites named Bloop and Spike. Spike and Bloop have one favorite pastime, stealing Trog eggs. Trogs have one favorite food, dynamites, like Spike and Bloop. It's a primeval recipe for adventure, especially when tar pits, bottomless chasms, and Stone Age catapults add to the perils of tasting good. Luckily, Trogs eat fast, but they think slow. Outsmarting even a jumping Trog takes only some fancy footwork and a dynamite left hook. Chomp away on a primitive pineapple and turn feeding time into Trog-munching mayhem. Eat a hot tamale, and your fireballs will charbroil a Trog quicker than a barbecue. Ready for some egg-citement? Ready to thump a Trog? Go Spike, go Bloop. First dynamite home wins. Okay, so it's not much of a story in the manual, but there are other sections that also give more description to the game. There's a page labeled Dead Dinos, Trog's Delight, and another that says Mealtime. They're used to describe gameplay mechanics, but they do it in a way that sort of fits in with the game's fiction. I definitely found all of this very interesting and think that it could have been edited together in some way that served as a better introduction at the front of the manual. The only reason I know anything at all about Trog was because on the day I received my certain NES guidebook in the mail, I immediately showed it to a few friends of mine who are admittedly less into gaming than I am. For years, one of those friends had been trying to tell me about this game he remembered from his childhood, but it certainly didn't ring a bell. So he immediately started furiously turning page after page after page in the guidebook until he suddenly stopped and pointed to a page. That's it. That's the game I've been trying to tell you about for years. So I hopped on eBay and ordered up a copy of Trog. When my friend and I finally sat down and played it, it didn't take long for him to start murdering me in points. It all came back to him, and the frantic and funny gameplay style of our simultaneous two-player competition had us cracking up. Trog is a game that I completely missed in my childhood. I never even saw it in arcades. But I'm very glad I picked it up and tried it as an adult. The two-player mode holds up well, and is way more fun than I was even beginning to expect. There was definitely a lot more thought put into the world of Trog than, say, something like the original Pac-Man. And that's saying a lot for a pre-verbal caveman named Trog. I don't think it spoils anything to say that, in traditional arcade fashion, once you beat the game's 50th level, you're rewarded with a ton of bonus points and a screen congratulating you on making it to the end, but there's no real ending to the game. Trog has a setting, and there are clear good guys and bad guys, and your characters actually have goals and reasons for their actions. Although it doesn't have much of an actual story, at least it has a foundation of one. You'll just have to ask Trog if he has any cave paintings so that you can learn more about our story so far. Hey everybody, thanks for watching episode number 72 of Our Story So Far TV. I want to give a big shout out to my buddy Scott. He helped me record the footage for this game and was also my player one during this game and was the reason I've even checked this game out in the first place. All the usual YouTube stuff, likes, comments, subscriptions, all that helps go a long way to send signals to the algorithm that help boost my videos up. Every little bit counts. If you want to suggest a game for a future episode, you can send me a message on Twitter @NewAngel, that's NUANGEL. If you enjoyed this, all of the episodes can be easily found over at ourstorysofar.tv, where I always put new episodes up every 2 weeks. During my off weeks here on YouTube, I'll put up other videos about my gaming collection or who knows what. Until next time, take care of yourself.